All right, we have a full house today. I would like to welcome you all to the Dania Beach City Commission. It's our second budget public hearing. It is Tuesday, September 19th, 5:01. Call the roll, please.
Mayor James.
Here.
Vice Mayor Harris.
Here.
Commissioner Brandemart.
Here.
Commissioner Grace. Here. Commissioner Salvino.
Here.
City Manager Baldwin.
Here.
City Attorney Ansbro.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, presentations.
I'll start out, Mayor. Thank you. This evening, we're holding our second of two state-mandated public hearings on the proposed budget for fiscal year 2017-2018. Again, I want to thank the City Commission for your direction in preparing the budget. You've discussed this budget 5 times, or this, let's see, you had a pre-budget discussion, then you had the presentation of the budget, and you had a workshop, then you had your first public hearing. This is your second public hearing. The millage, when you set it tonight, will be the final millage for next fiscal year. So at that, Nikki, I'll pass it over to you.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners,
Good evening.
city staff, and the public. We're here for the second public hearing. As the city manager had indicated, tonight we're going to be passing your final millage and debt millage rate and your final adopted budget as amended. We're going to go through the presentation for public input for anyone out here or in the audience on television who would benefit from the information we're going to provide tonight. Property taxes for this year, as we've spoke about previously, the property values this year were $3.8 billion, which now currently exceeds our 2008 values of $3.3 billion back when the recession first started. This is going to generate approximately $22 million in property tax revenue receipts for the city of Dania Beach for this year. These are your final budget actions for tonight. You will be passing your proposed final millage rate, which is 5.9998 mils, which is what this budget is based upon at the moment. It's 9.78% over the rollback rate, which is 5.655. Your voter debt millage rate is being set at 0.1911 mils. And then your final action will be to adopt the annual city budget as amended. With the general fund, we are not recommending any increase in the property tax rate and no use of undesignated fund balance. Your public safety contract costs are approximately $24 million. And we will go over the budget amendments as we did last time, indicating what we've done with the public safety for this year. Your city manager and city commission budget currently has a $200,000 Oasis project budgeted for next year. The commission contingency, after all budget amendments from the last hearing, sits at $149,000 for the commission to use at their discretion throughout the year should things come up that are unexpected. The aids to private organizations is currently set at $35,000. This city staff will be bringing forward to you, administration, a policy for commission recommendation as far as how you might want to award those. Parks and Recreation, lifeguard, we're currently going to be staffing the north of the pier. The cost for that is approximately $139,000, which does include the lifeguard, all related personnel benefits, and the actual guard tower. There's also a position currently funded in the Recreation Division, which is $96,000, including all benefits. That is going to be brought forth back to the commission and with discussion with the city manager once we make a determination exactly what that position will entail or any other alternatives. The Chester Bird Park, there's a budget for the shade shelter, which is $35,000. Nyberg Swanson House remediation is at $50,000. Skate park resurfacing, $15,000, and the PJ Millie walkways at $15,000. We're also looking to increase 3 of the part-time positions to full-time in the Parks Division, and we'll be opening the parks again on Mondays. Public Services, there's in the Construction Maintenance Division a facilities manager position, which is currently budgeted at $101,000, including all salary and related health insurance and benefits. In the Public Services Street Division, there's $250,000 allocated for roadway repaving. Excuse me. $70,000 for alleyway repaving, which is new this year. and the continued funding for the sidewalk program citywide and the 50/50 sidewalk program with the resident. We are looking to outsource the beach maintenance, the custodial maintenance of the beach, cleaning of the beach areas, the bathroom, not the actual raking of the beach. We do have a separate contract for that. We tried it on a trial basis this year. We currently have 3 part-time positions that have been difficult to fill. We've contracted with an outside agency, a staffing agency, to do that for the last several months. It does seem to be working well. The staffing agency will be reporting to the Public Services Department under their supervision, and it's been working well. That will be a cost savings to the city of $21,000, but more importantly, we're able to get more man-hours down there at the beach than with the 3 part-timers, and they seem to be doing a much better job at being able to keep up on it. The fleet division, the general fund budget, it does provide for the purchase of several vehicles this year. We did not have anything out of the general fund last year due to the tight restrictions that we have with the budget, but for this year, we are able to fund 2 of the F-150s in the street division, 1 F-250 in the grounds division, a cargo van in the construction maintenance division, and a F-550 is a tree truck in the grounds division as well. There are 3 position title changes that are being included in the budget. The first one is in the city attorney's office. The legal assistant position is being reclassified to a legal office manager from a pay grade 28 to a pay grade 30. The estimated cost to accomplish this is $9,000, which would include all related benefits. In the Public Services Administration Division, the admin and coordinator position is being reclassed to an office manager position from a pay grade 24 to a pay grade 30. And the estimated cost for that plus related benefits are $14,000. And in the Recreation Administration Division, the office manager position is being reclassified to an admin coordinator position, and the estimated cost related to that is a net cost of $14,000. Your enterprise funds, as we've mentioned before, we are making no recommendations to change the rates in the water, sewer, or stormwater fund. We do have a funding for a project in the water fund for $431,000, which is for a water main replacement on the Northwest 1st Street water main replacement. We're continuing to work on getting the SCADA system funded. It has been funded. It's gone out to bid. That's going to be coming forward to the commission for final approval. The stormwater, we're not recommending any rate increases there as well, and the Public Services Department is still seeking to try to complete the Southeast Stormwater Drainage Improvement Project, which is funded through SRF funding. So when that comes to the commission for final approval, we'll have a definite cost on that. The parking fund is doing well. We're seeing revenues up 14% there. We are going to be utilizing another $200,000 of the surplus revenue coming from the parking fund and allocating it towards the beach redevelopment project for the next phase, which would bring our funding on that up to the $1.1 million that you see here. Part of that already being allocated towards burying the FPL lines underground down at the beach, and then also doing the rehabilitation to the old existing marina bathroom building that's down there. The Pier Fund also is doing well. The revenues are up 14%. It's a very small fund with very limited resources as far as income coming in, but it is self-sustaining at this point. We're recommending that any residual monies that are there remain in that fund for ongoing replacement of pier planking and ongoing maintenance down at the pier. And then the actual marina fund being managed by Rustrec, the revenues there are also up 27%. This budget does include a rate increase, which has already been put into place through a resolution that we passed previously that will allow the city to actually stay within the market rates of the surrounding areas. Rustrec has gone out and done their analysis. Their recommendation is they're going to increase rates approximately $150 a month. Those rates will then keep us in line with what our requirements are with our grant and our loan funding provisions that are required. There we go. Our budget amendments that were discussed at the last public hearing, you'll take a final vote on those tonight before you pass the final budget. The first three amendments have to do with the BSO law enforcement. The City Commission, through the last two meetings, has decided that what we are going to be doing is we're going to remove the 3 CSIAs that were originally proposed in the budget, and we're going to be hiring 2 full-time deputies on October 1st, and then we're going to hire an additional 3 full-time deputies on April 1st. So the first 3 amendments here are a result of that action. The second 3 amendments that you see here have to do with the BSO Fire Rescue Services. We will be funding 3 full-time firefighter paramedics on October 1st and 1 full-time firefighter paramedic April 1st. We have currently removed the grant funding provision. If we do get the SAFER grant and that becomes an issue, then what we'll do is we'll bring that back forth to the commission at that point in time. There's the 7th amendment to the budget is for the mobility plan, which has been discussed, which is part of the community development budget. The commission also has requested an increase to the chamber donation of $5,000 over what we're already donating to them on a regular basis. The Graceful Aging Program is going to be funded at $8,000 for next year. We are increasing the funding for the employee appreciation event, which currently is sitting at $10,000 to $15,000 for next year based on discussions that we've had about, maybe, changing the location and some of the events that occurred with that. There's been a request through our meetings for the summer program to potentially be extended for an additional 2 weeks for next year. We've provided the funding for it so we can start working towards hopefully accomplishing that with Parks and Recreation. And we'll have to bring that, if there's anything additional we need other than that. This is really kind of a rough estimate, but it's more about logistics, trying to make sure that we can get the staffing that we need to cover. There's $80,000 that was requested that we've put aside for a lobbyist or a grant writer or both, which is sitting in the commission budget as we speak once you approve this. So that'll be something that we can work out the contract negotiations once you've decided on who you would like to hire to fill that slot. And then the $124 is just kind of that's a housekeeping item of mine that we need to do in order to stay compliant with our public advertisements. We can only budget 95% of our perceived revenue coming in, and there was kind of a formulation error in Excel. So we found that going through the final process of doing the budget book, and we want to make sure that we correct that. So these are your final actions tonight. The first thing you're going to do is vote on your millage rate and your debt millage rate. You're going to make a motion to adjust the manager's recommended budget, and then you are going to adopt the actual city budget. Also, as a last item, due to the hurricane, what I have requested is that I add in an additional item onto this public hearing to allocate and have the City Commission approve to allocate hurricane funding from the Hurricane Reserve so we can begin to pay the vendors that are going to be coming forth to us over the next. We've already got invoices coming in that we're going to need to pay, of which, of course, we don't have the funding for that. What I've requested is that the money be put from the Hurricane Reserve to the general fund. We have a designated line item that we use strictly for hurricane expenses so we can file with reimbursement for insurance and FEMA and that sort of thing. Any residual money that comes in that's left over will go right back to the Hurricane Reserve per the resolution. And we'll keep you apprised of that, as we go through. I've requested $4 million at this point, which may sound excessive, but we don't want to have to come back to you afterwards. It's only designated for hurricane expenses. So hopefully we won't need all of
How much
that.
do we have in there now?
We currently have, after this budget is passed, we would have $8.9 million in reserve. We would like to allocate 4 of it right now. I don't know that we'll need that, but we won't really know. Debris pickup is pretty much going to be your largest expense. I did go back and take a look at Hurricane Wilma just for comparative purposes, and that particular storm was a total for the city of Dania Beach of $3 million. So about $2 million of that was debris pickup. Whether or not, obviously cost have increased since then, but I don't know that we had the same amount of damage as we had then, so only time's going to tell once they start picking up the loads.
Okay.
Any questions?
I have a question. I was going to wait till item 3.3, but I might as well ask it now. How do we necessarily replenish the hurricane reserve? Do you do it yearly, take a little bit out the budget yearly, or? how-
But the hurricane reserve is what the commission's been working towards, just like your undesignated reserve balances. You've been setting aside money each year. Last year, this commission that is here actually took a very huge step by funding it. We currently had last year $2 million,
So we
and
just
you allocated almost another $6 million last year, and we're adding another $900,000 this year.
Okay.
So.
So after the next budget, we
Yeah, the
choose
next
whether or not
budget
we want
year-
to get back to that 9 million?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's always going to be your goal, is your 2 months of operating. But what we're going to do, obviously, we have to, work with what we
Right.
have. But next year, when we come back to you with the next proposed budget, we'll make a recommendation on how much we think we can afford to put back in there.
Okay, Commissioner Brandon?
Yeah, there's a suggested amount, isn't there, for the hurricane fund?
It's for the total reserve.
Right. Yeah, you're
What's
at,
our suggested amount?
the suggested amount for this year is $8.9 million, rounded.
Okay.
Okay,
thank you.
we're going to go ahead and use part of that now,
Yeah,
which is
I
what
know.
it's there for.
You
And then
said-
next year, we're going to attempt to replenish it. Your regular undesignated fund balance is
Yeah.
also where it needs to be, which is $13 million. So that's separate and aside from the hurricane reserve.
Vicki, you said you've already got invoices coming in?
Oh, absolutely. Well, there's invoices coming in from repairs, for things that have to be done, from everything from lift stations to, to just things that they had to buy pre-storm. So FEMA will take a look at everything that you've done for preparedness, and they'll take a look at everything that you've done for the recovery.
Okay.
And you kind of have to separate those things out.
Let me
And
ask you a
adjust it
question.
accordingly.
Thank
I guess this is for the city manager. I know I've had a lot of correspondence with the League of Cities. I don't know if anyone else has. How likely is it that we're going to get reimbursed for the debris pickup? Because that seems to be a difficulty that most mayors are dealing with in their cities.
Well, the whole county's having difficulty right now with the debris because it's so competitive. Contractors are going to Dade County, and Broward is losing contractors. Do you mind if Brad?
Not at all.
We are likely to get reimbursed by FEMA for most expenses, but it will take time.
And specifically, the mayors, what they're more concerned about is really the private property gated community issue.
Okay.
We only have, I believe, like 6 gated communities in Dania Beach, but it's the cities that have 20, 30, 100. That's really where the mayors are very concerned, because there's not a lot of clear directive, and they're saying different things on some of these conference calls as to what needs to be done in terms of getting that reimbursement. So that's really more the issue, not for the roadway stuff
Okay,
that's picking
so-
up and in residential
And
communities.
tell them about the contractors raising
Yeah, well-
the prices.
What's happened is, because this is the largest widespread storm ever in the history of this country, and you have resources that are all over the state of Florida, and you have resources that are in Texas. So contractors tend to go where they can make the most money, even if they have commitments to these big debris haulers where they're subs. And some cities, particularly, that's why you saw that email from Mayor Levy in Hollywood, because they are actually experiencing a lot of contractors leaving
Right.
and going to Dade County. However, some of the, and I've looked at the Dade County contract, some of the contractors there that are on that, I don't even know how they could float, to pay those subs, because they're very small companies. They are not in the same business as an Ashford or a Bergeron, or companies that do this, for a living. They're very small companies that are local to Miami-Dade County that just put in bids, and they were awarded them. So we'll have to see how that plays out, because I just don't know. They're very small companies that they selected. They were not the big companies that you see nationwide going into and performing these services.
Okay,
Brad,
so,
we're paying about $8 per cubic
for
yard.
the hauling rate,
I
it's
don't know.
about
And they're going up
$8
to
a
like
cubic yard.
$18 per
Yes.
cubic yard.
Some
cities are
places
paying.
in Florida, it's over 20.
okay, so for clarification, we don't know if we will get reimbursed for the private communities if
Correct.
we do
We're
their debris
not,
pickup?
we're not concerned about going into our normal communities that we have. It's just the few gated ones we have, there will be
But,
issues.
okay, but is Dania Beach going to go into those gated communities?
We plan on doing that, absolutely.
And we're prepared to eat that loss?
They are taxpayers of the city,
That-
absolutely.
Right, I just wanted to make sure that's the direction we're going, because
Yes,
I read,
that's what we're doing. And we're asking them to put it on the right of way.
Because I
So
read
we can
some
pick
of
it
the emails from other cities that I won't say, but I know that, like you said, they have a lot more private communities, and they don't want, they're afraid that, you know, they've even started to put out these emails to the residents saying, you know what, you and your community are gonna have to come up with something because we're not responsible for it, because it's just gonna be too big of a chunk. I don't know what their hurricane reserves look like. I just wanted to make sure that wasn't what we were doing.
Right, and I think, you know, based on some of the guidance that I've seen in preliminary conversations with Tom, I think there's no question that, you know, we meet the criteria for it. So, you know, we're not
Okay.
going to not do it, though.
Okay.
So I would warn you a bit, because the instructions to the staff have been, a lot of cities have become frozen by this concept they're not going to get reimbursed by FEMA. We've decided to go ahead and make the expenditure and then try to get the money back later. If we don't get it, we don't get it.
Right.
Got you. Safety
Kudos. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, the city's pretty much operated under that since I've been here, even when Wilma was here. We've not held back. We go out, we do what we need to do. We've always been fortunate enough to be able to have the funding to do that. And then we wait for the reimbursement from FEMA. So, and from the state, there's usually a cost share. So I don't think that we're going to have any issues with that. I think we have the funding to do it. And it's just a matter of being able to sort out the paperwork with them, which is a very lengthy process. I'll probably see you sometime next year telling you we still haven't finished it, but I don't think we're going to have any problems in that area.
Before we go to the public hearing part, is there anyone in the public that want to speak on anything else other than we only have these three little line items? No? Okay. Yes, no? I mean, as far as the budget, because these three line items won't be necessarily as detailed as that, and I just can appreciate some of the people coming out today to this meeting, so. Okay,
Mike?
come. Yes. Please state your name and address for the record.
All right, Emmanuel George, 17 Northeast 2nd Avenue, apartment 106, Dania Beach, Florida, 33004. I just have a few questions in regards to a few things. Well, it's about 7 things, really. One I want to know about is procurement, which is businesses acquiring government contracts. I just have a question about that, if anyone could give me any answers towards that. The arts and culture for the city coming in, as well as the issue of climate change and equity, affordable housing and education.
Well, what this meeting is about all of that.
Oh, that's
stuff.
all. That's what I was saying. Like,
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. So
Just
that
budget.
is just
Budget, okay.
what we're
3
recommending,
items.
those 3 items, or what you saw about the presentation. Those items, we probably can meet separately about it, because
Okay,
that
cool.
that has nothing to do with
26th, you
tonight.
can come and ask us about the other stuff.
On the 26th.
Yes, Commission meeting.
All right, cool. All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, public hearing? Okay, Tom.
Again, to reiterate what the finance director has done, just for state law, this announcement is for tonight's final budget hearing for the city of Dania Beach, Florida for the fiscal year 2017-2018. The final operating municipal millage rate will be 5.9998 mils, which reflects no change from the city's current fiscal year millage rate. This operating millage represents a 9.78% increase over the rollback rate of 5.4655 mils, as computed in accordance with the provisions of Section 200.0651 Florida statutes. The voter-approved debt service millage rate is 0.1911 mils in accordance with the provisions of law pursuant to Chapter 200 Florida statutes. The city's aggregate millage is 6.1909 mils, 5.998 mils for operating, and 0.1911 mils for debt service combined. Nikki, do you have a preliminary motion you want them to do, or is it?
Not for this one.
Okay.
The next
All
one.
right, the first resolution is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, as required by the city charter in Section 200.065 Florida statutes, approving the millage rate necessary to be levied for the fiscal year 2017-2018 for operating purposes, establishing the debt millage approved by the electorate, providing for the public hearing when and where objections may be heard and questions concerning the same will be answered, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date.
Was that the second resolution?
The first
Oh,
one.
that was the first one. Okay, okay.
First.
This is
okay.
a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this?
Move the item.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandimart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Commissioner Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, for the next item, what I need you to do is make a motion to adjust the manager's recommended budget for the items that you see before you tonight.
Do a public hearing on this?
Do you want to do that motion first, or do we read this?
She wants the motion first,
You
right?
can do it either, as long as it's done before you adopt the budget.
Okay. Well, yeah, you can do the motion, that's fine.
So no public
There is public comment, anyone wants to
Okay.
comment on anything?
this.
Make a motion to
hold
approve the
on.
manager's budget?
Hold on, this is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against the motion? Okay, here's the motion.
I want to make a motion to approve the manager's suggested budget.
Second.
As amended?
As
As
amended.
amended.
As amended
As depicted on the
on
screen.
today's date.
Do we have a second?
Yes, I did.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandimart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Commissioner Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
3-2 is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, as required by the city charter and Section 200.065 Florida statutes, approving its final annual budget for the fiscal year 2017-2018, providing for conflicts, providing for an effective date.
This is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this?
Move the item.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandimart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Commissioner Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
And 3-3, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, authorizing an appropriation from the City of Dania Beach hurricane reserves to pay for expenses related to Hurricane Irma in an amount not to exceed $4 million, providing for funding, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date.
This is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this?
Move the item.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandimart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Commissioner Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Meeting unadjourned.
Yeah, right, I'm sorry. I want to know this, well, you can figure out why. When will we be starting on the parks, the buildings, to fix them? And I think you all know what I'm getting at. I have a meeting coming up. We have
Oh, that's for
party
IT
coming
Parker.
up,
to-
big ones. When
That's
will
just
we-
to get repair on IT Parker so that we can have a senior
I want to be
day.
sure I don't have to call and start canceling.
Right.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission, Mark Felicity, Parks and Recreation Director.
evening.
I met with two contractors, Chicky, and I should have two quotes tomorrow on my desk, and we're also seeking a third quote because it's going to exceed our threshold of $2,500.
25 what?
$2,500.
1,000.
25 what?
100.
What am I
That's
thinking?
okay, we'll take care of it.
Okay, the figure just knocked me off. All right, so here's what I'm getting at. The first Thursday of October is a go for me, though? I have to know. I can't just call up 258 people overnight. It isn't going to happen. Can you paste it up there with silly putty or something? Just let me get through that meeting?
Mr. LaFerriere felt that structurally it's sound and it can be repaired
Mr.
temporarily.
LaFerriere, what did he say?
That it could be.
Wants the silly
what did I
putty.
say?
Hi, Mark LaFerriere, Community Development. We had our inspectors go out and look at it. It's a job that will need to be repaired. If the contractor can get done quickly enough, I think we need to see his quotes first. But there's an interim effort that could be done too, with just making it structurally sound so the ceiling doesn't collapse
That's
further.
all I'm
It's
asking.
the superficial part of the ceiling, it's not the structural part of the ceiling.
Good.
So, but you may have to use plastic and things like that in order
I don't really
to have a meeting, but it could be done in time, so let's just keep the commission in touch with how the repair work is going to be done.
Is it going to be as equally expensive as repairing it all together? I don't want to do double work.
No.
Okay.
No, basically what it boils down to is the ceiling got wet, there was no structural damage, the
Okay.
rain came in through the vents at the top of the gabled end of the roof, and it got the ceiling plaster wet, and the ceiling plaster fell. So it isn't like the roof is going to cave
Oh, the
in,
roof
but the
didn't
ceiling
cave in.
plaster could fall little bits and pieces, so the idea would be to cut away the wettest, most damaged part.
Same thing that happened to my bedroom.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
plastic it up, that could be done too. But it'd be great to get the whole thing done, which I think is what Mark's goal is to do. Yeah, and there's time to do it, if we can get people mobilized.
Okay, I
I'll go
hope
quick.
so. Thank you very much. That's important. Thank you.
Anything else from anyone?
Oh, that would be.
All right, meeting adjourned.
Exactly. Yep. It's crazy.